Well, hello, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it's Friday evening, so it's smile time. And yeah, that's a bit glary, isn't it? Hold on one second. As much as I love having the halo, actually, it's still a bit of a halo. The sun will set in a minute, so we'll be fine. All right, so very good evening to you all. I hope you had a good afternoon. For those of you who were not there at lunchtime, we actually did a broadcast at lunchtime today about differences, how to see both sides of anything. And I know that the viewers who were there found it helpful, so don't forget to check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Particularly important because we've got a lot of changes coming at us, and I wanted you all to get that skill of not judging everything, but rather just seeing both sides of it and just let it go. All right, so first of all, now that she's here, hi Jody and Isabel and Kim as well. I just wanted to let you know, Jody, that you did a great job with the funnies for today. You know, I call it smile time, but Jody calls it, you know, Friday funnies. And I think that's a really nice name for it as well. And so if you find any of these as funny as I did when I was reading through them, you know we need to thank Jody, who works all week to bring these to you at the weekend. So round of applause there for Jody. Thank you. And by the way, Jody, it must have been really quite scary. And for those of you who don't know, Jody had a tornado watch about an hour ago. And that must have been like, yeah, right. That's just what you needed, right? And I guess you're still under the watch at the moment, but not under the warning, right? The watch being be careful, but the warning being, you know, it could be on its way any minute now. So she's out of the warning and in the watch zone at the moment. So if we suddenly don't hear from her, we will know that she's run to the bathroom to go lie in the tub. Yeah, really scary, but you know, it's Jody and she takes things one step at a time. So she's still here. I mean, it's amazing. What can I say? Jody's saying it knew darn well to get out of Dodge before the broadcast, right? Getting your priorities right. All right, so welcome to those of you who may be watching for the first time. We love Friday afternoons or Friday evening broadcast. We do 3 broadcasts a week. The lunchtime one on a Friday is learning something one. The Friday evening one is this one, and we laugh a lot. And then we do another one on Sunday afternoon, my time, which is Pacific Daylight Time, where we call it our Soul Sunday, where we almost meditate. So if you care to join us, we're like an extended family of people that get together. DearMamaSal is all about helping you cope with love, life, and other problems, you know. And basically, we're all here to support each other as we go through life. And I think that is a wonderful thing. Okay, so Kim's saying, I heard the bathtub is not a safe place because it can break up and cut you if you get hit. Well, you know, that's a very good point. You know, one of the things I like to see is, not like to see, nobody likes to see that, but after a tornado, if anything, what is left of a house, and of the older houses, I've noticed that 9 times out of 10, what's left can be the fireplace quite often, or the staircase. It's interesting, isn't it? So I'm sure that Jody knows all about it. I'm not big into tornadoes, and I don't wish them here in British Columbia. So keep them your side, you guys. I'll lane it with a sheet. Yeah. She's still getting in there. All right, I understood that totally. So if any of you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, please send them to dearmamasal@gmail.com. And today, we hopefully will laugh a lot. And I want to tell you, I did actually burst out laughing out loud on a couple of ones that Jody put together for today. By the way, make sure that you subscribe here on YouTube and click on that bell thing. And it's going to ask you, do you want all the notifications? And the answer to that is yes. And that way you'll always be advised if I'm doing a broadcast, maybe an extra one every now and then, which I do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We use Facebook like an update to let people know. And by the way, we heard from Sandy this afternoon after the broadcast that her father passed. And she said it was okay to discuss it on the broadcast, but not to put it up on Facebook. So those of you who know Sandy, please remember to support her should she come into the broadcast. And I'm pretty certain she probably has other things that are on her mind right now. And for those of you who have asked, Yvonne's doing fine. I'm hoping to be able to get to see her this week. So, but I'll update you as soon as I do. And Jody, anything, there is no further news about the get together for your family, right? For the passing of your father-in-law. Did I understand that's probably going to happen in about June? I think Yvonne was talking about doing hers in July. So we'll sort of keep up to date. And for those of you who follow Benji and Judy, they're beginning to think that maybe baby Elle will be with us sooner rather than later. So just be aware that that's what the last I heard. All right, so here's the first one of Jody's specials. I hate it when I'm singing a song and the artist gets the words wrong. Or the melody. I can remember when why can't I think of her name? Who sang I Believe That Children Are Our Future? I can see her. She died in the bathtub, funny enough, but from an overdose, I think. Whitney Houston. There we go. Whitney Houston, when she, thank you, everybody got there. Hi, Beth. Everybody got there at the same time. There was one part of that melody that she improvised on. And I remember the original version of that song. And, every time I sang it to the original version. And then she'd do this slightly off-key type bit in it. And I used to get so frustrated because it sounded like I was off-key when I knew that's how the original was written. And, it used to really drive me insane. And for those of you who remember Whitney Houston, you remember the song from The Bodyguard, I Will Always Love You? I'd like to spoil that for you forever. Because if you listen very carefully at the end, where she does the bit at the end, she actually says, I will always love Hugh. In the last couple of lines of that lyrics, it's the way she says you. She actually said Hugh. and I can never listen to that song again without hearing that. You can't unhear something like that, right? So if ever you listen to that song, as I have done many times, and you hear it, smile. And it was my pleasure to pass that on to you. Yeah, she really does. And if any of you are going, I got to listen to that again just to see, you'll go, when you hear it, you'll go, you're right, she does. And how about this one? Sometimes I shock myself with the smart stuff that I say and do. Other times, I try to get out of the car with my seatbelt on. I know that. Why can't I get out? Oh, well, never mind. Now, for those of you who enjoy sarcasm, this one would be for you. My level of sarcasm has gotten to the point where I don't even know whether I'm kidding or not. Somebody once said that sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. Yeah, right. Those are people without a sense of humor. This is a very famous quote from Jerry Seinfeld, and you know, I just love it. It says, if a book about failure doesn't sell, is it a success? Think about that. If a book about failure doesn't sell, does that make it a success? Yeah, yeah, love it. All right, and then George Carlin added to that one when he said, if you try to fail and succeed, which have you done? You know, if you try to fail and succeed in doing that, which have you done? And is it both? This one I thought was very clever. It said, my wife made coffee this morning and she winked at me as she handed me the cup. I have never been more scared of a drink in my life. You know, I can almost hear Jodie chuckling at these as she finds, hi Nash, as she finds them. You know, she go, oh, and there are a couple in here that I know have my name written on it. She knew I was going to really enjoy them, and I'll let you know which ones they are for me. This is a good point. Actually, this next one, I've never really thought about it, but it's actually a very good point. I love airports because the rules of society don't apply. Eat a pizza and have a glass of wine at 7 a.m. while in your track pants because nobody cares. You know, that's so true, isn't it? Oh, I thought the greatest achievement that we children ever achieved for my mom was to stop her dressing up to get on an airplane to fly 12 hours somewhere. You know what I mean? She used to always dress up to the nines and, you know, like they did in the old days. And, you know, the one time I went to meet her at the airport and she came off in a tracksuit and I nearly didn't recognize my own mother. And I said, wow. And she said, well, you guys kept telling me. And I did it. And I went, well, good for you. That's very good. Douglas Adams said, a learning experience is one of those things that says, you know that thing you just did? Don't do that. Yeah, Kimmy's asking where Jodie finds these things. Well, she hunts them down all over the place, Kimmy, and she definitely, I want to tell you, you know how much she must enjoy doing it when I've got to the stage now I don't ask her whether she's done it because, you know, it's like obviously a labor of great love that to entertain you all. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, as we know. It comes small, large, circle, square, thin crust, thick crust, stuffed crust, and with extra toppings. And by the way, if I suddenly have to leave this broadcast, I do need to warn you that I did cook myself a brie cheese and mushroom stuffed burger, bacon burger. So the actual burger itself had chunks of bacon in it, and it had brie cheese and mushrooms inside. And just to make sure that it was really dangerous, I, I added a side of caramelized onions. How many of you going, best of luck that you make it through the broadcast? So and that's what I was thinking. That was not a wise thing to do just before I do a broadcast. Never mind. It was so good. Albert Einstein asked this question, and I've got to tell you, I totally agree with it. He said, if a cluttered desk is the sign of a cluttered mind, Of what then is an empty desk a sign? Anybody want me to reread that so you make sure you understood it? I want to tell you, Jody, it really is the perfect burger. You know, it's like, I've perfected it. And I know that every now and then I will ask, in the summer, I used to ask Yvonne and Wade, you know, if you had, of all the choices, what would you like? And 9 times out of the 10 in the summer, it would be one of those stuffed burgers. Because, you know, I don't make small ones either. Yep. Anyway, any of you like stuffed burgers? Quite honestly, once I started to learn how to make stuffed burgers, a regular one just doesn't do it for me anymore. Because I find a stuffed one, you don't need a bun. You know, it's got so much goodies in it, you know, so much good stuff that you just don't need a bun. Kim says, I'm going to gain another pound just thinking about it. That is so true. But I keep thinking that most of it is protein, cheese, meat. That it's got vegetables, you know, the onions, you know, mushrooms, bacon's protein. It can't be all bad. Now, for those of you who are still in the lockdown mode, wherever you are, this is this one is very clever. It says it's 8 p.m. now, and it is the official time to remove your daytime pajamas and put on your nighttime ones. Do I have the recipe for my burgers? Are you serious? No? But could I, you know, I don't have a recipe for anything. But could I, you know, could I show you one day how to do it? Maybe, actually, when what I should do is find my earphones so that I can walk away from the video, because you can see this area pretty well, right? And so I could actually make them on here as long as I got my headphones in. I'll see if I can find my remote headphones or even my not remote ones, and then I'll make them one day and do it live while we're chit-chatting. It's, you know, really, it's very simple. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't do it. Yeah. So, and by the way, I wanted to know, do any of you make your, if you're lucky enough to have a dishwasher, do any of you make your own dishwashing tabs? And that was another thing I wondered whether anybody would like to know how I do that. You know, every couple of weeks I just make some. Yeah, that's what I thought, Jody. You can see the island beautifully, so I could be making it here. And as long as my headphones could pick up what I was saying, then even if I turned my back to you, you'd still hear. And that's what I'm thinking. So I could do some live demonstrations. My question is, of the 3 broadcasts, which one would you like me to do that sort of one on? The skills one? Although I never think my cooking is particularly skilled. What things are expensive, honey? Anyway, oh, these? Yeah. And that's why I make my own. What I do, Isabel, I use these for everyday, you know, quick rinse type ones, a quick wash. If I have really greasy, nasty stuff, I use the best commercial one I can buy. But for the day-to-day, when it's just sort of, you know, not that bad, I just use these. And even then, sometimes, you know, I need to put it through a second time and I don't really care. Yeah, the dishwasher is me. The real one never got hooked up. Wow, you've got a dishwasher and you never got it hooked up. Why? That would be like having a freezer and not hooking it up. Jody, it's skim milk. It's just skim milk and coffee. And ice, of course. But it does taste good. All right. So this one is very true for me, Jody, and you knew that. It says, I need to practice social distancing from my refrigerator. Anybody agree with that? But my blood sugar is still roughly under control. I'm very proud of myself. The whole of the lockdown time, I think I have hit, my tester gives me green, it's like a traffic light. It gives me a green, orange or red color to tell me how I'm doing. And I must admit that I've only hit the orange twice, I think, where I'm going, oh yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that one. Now, this one was one of the ones that had me bursting out laughing, but maybe I've got a really warped sense of humor, but I want to tell you something. Listen to this one and listen to it carefully. It's not boring at all to have to stay in the house, but how come one bag of rice has 7,456 pieces in, and the other one only has 398? Jody, I just literally, I didn't know what to do with myself when I read that one. It was beautiful. And for those of you who are lucky enough to have dogs, I just got a Cheerio stuck between my toes walking through my kitchen. Clearly, my dog is not doing his part of the chores around the house. And by the way, for those of you who know who Clarence the cleaner is, I have a robotic cleaner. And I actually don't find I need to use him as much in this house as I did in my previous one. And I'm not quite sure why, to be honest. But I normally set him going, a couple of times a week. And it's amazing how much of my hair he picks up. It's like, I think I shed more hair than a dog. It's just like, really? Yesterday, I sent him around the house and I had to empty, his little container that collects the bits 3 times, and most of it was hair. Actually, what I will do is next week, I will hang on to what he collects and show you just how bad it is. It's just like, and I find it wonderful having him just so that I can go, wow, and the floors looked absolutely fine. But apparently they weren't. And and by the way, for those of you who know that I bought a cover for my futon, if any of you wonder, was it worth it? Absolutely. I spilled something on the futon this week, and I just could take the cover off and throw it in the wash, which I did, and it held together beautifully, and it's back on the futon again. And I'm going, I am so glad I spent the money on that. So just in case you want to know. For somebody out there, let me know who really relates to this one. I want you to stand in your shower in your mind for a moment. People who can finish a shampoo bottle at the same time as their conditioner are truly gifted. Now, some of you go, why would you bother? I do a 2-in-1. And my tip for the day is, and Jody knows about this, and probably some of you as well, I found that pre-washing my hair with cheap soap. When I say cheap soap, soft soap, something like that. I actually pre-wash my hair with that stuff to get the product out of it, and then I wash it with the good stuff. And it saves me a fortune. Just a small little thing like that. So give that some thought. For those of you who are mothers or have been mothers, here's this one. Have you ever heard of a swear jar? Well, I started a mum jar. And the kids have to put in $1 every time they say, Mom. I'm up to 59 million, and we started 30 minutes ago. Oh, it's interesting. Jody's saying that she loves that tip about pre-washing your hair. It is amazing, isn't it, Jody? How not only that, but what I find is once I've got the junk out of my hair with the cheap soap, the good soap lathers that much better. Did you find that as well? And it's just like, wow, I didn't waste all this money just trying to get the gunk out of my hair. So I don't know what made me think to do that. Must have been necessity one time. All right, so again, use your imaginations on this one. I ate salad for dinner, mostly croutons and tomatoes. Well, really, just one big round crouton covered with tomato sauce and cheese. Yep, Jody's confirming. Yep, it does lather well. So, it's just one of those little things. And again, I have no idea how I came up with that, but I'm glad that I did. And I've, ever since, I've also found something else. If you ever get a chance to buy a container that turns soap into foam, it looks like the froth, I hate that word, from my coffee. But, it actually produces a foam when you use the bottle. Any of you got a bottle like that? What I find is that saves so much soap. It's not even funny. And I actually put my pre-wash soap in there. So I save even more money. Is the futon a good mattress? That is like saying, is a car good? There are so many different futons, Kimmy. And so it would depend what quality one you get. I would say some people swear that they are, the best ones. But you see, Kimmy, they've all got different fillings to them. The one I've got has got foam in it, but a lot of futons have straw in it. The original futon type design was made with straw in it, not foam. I find, though, that I sit on mine a lot. So obviously the foam isn't going to last very long. So what I've done is I've bought extra cushions to put underneath the cover that I've got for it. Yeah, most of us have more conditioner than shampoo, unless you actually make your own 2-in-1. How do you do that? You just pour some conditioner into your shampoo, and now you've got a 2-in-1, and you will always have the right amount of conditioner for your hair. Now, do any of you relate to this one with lockdown? It says, I'm at the point where what can I make with green beans and cake mix? Jody, have you used any of your supply store stuff? I suddenly thought to myself, I went to my own shopping system and had to pull something out this week, and I went, I think I meant to be storing that, not using it. But I did get something out of there this week. So I must remember to double up on it next week. And for those again that have doggies, all right, when I'm finished eating, somehow I have to show my hands to the dog like I'm a blackjack dealer. Nothing left. I've got a dog in the neighborhood, and when it comes to visit me, I normally give it a cookie. But, it keeps coming back to find out if I got a second one in my hand, and the answer is no. Hi, Becca. How you doing? All right, now this one, I want to give you a heads up. This one is wonderful. Jody found this one, and I know that she knew I would love it. Here it is. I want to grow my own food, but I cannot find bacon seeds. Yeah, Jody's saying, oddly enough, that all her carb type snacks seem to be disappearing, and it must be her doggy that's eating them, right? And Becca's saying, Jody, I found more of those yummy apple Pop-Tarts, and I thought of you. Well, there you go. Hi, Niasha, good to see you. Yeah, so I definitely have not found the bacon seeds at all. I've looked, cannot find them. This one was clever. Marriage is like a deck of cards. In the beginning, all you need is 2 hearts and a diamond. And by the end, you wish you had a club and a spade. Yeah, very clever. and this was my reality. I'm going to retire and live off my savings. What am I going to do on day 2, I wonder? I choked on a carrot this afternoon, and all I could think was, I bet a donut wouldn't have done this to me. All right, let's be honest. When did you last have a donut? I haven't had a donut since I left work. How long have I been retired? 2 years? Coming up 2 years, right? I haven't had a donut since I retired. That's amazing. I've had a lot else, mind you, but not a donut. Now, for those of you, who have had children and done Christmas with them, you will really relate to this one. I didn't know that I was OCD until I watched my kids hang ornaments on the tree wherever they wanted. Did anybody else have to keep their mouth very closed? And some of you going, no. This one was way clever, and it said, aliens probably ride past Earth and lock their doors. You're good, Jody. You really are. Out of all my body parts, I feel like my eyes are in the best shape. I do at least 1,000 eye rolls every day. And by the way, just for the record, I had to give Jody a 2x4 today at lunchtime. Yeah, I had such fun. All right, so here we go. This one says, I'm going for a walk because I want to stay healthy. I'm taking a bag of M&Ms because, well, let's be honest here. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was about, but something about oh yeah, she was resenting the fact that she hadn't learned a lot of these lessons a long time ago. And I went, wait a minute, wait up. If you'd learned all these lessons a long time ago, we would never have met. And it was just like, excuse me, you are exactly where you're meant to be. There we go. You understand? Because if Jody hadn't done a lot of learning before we ever met her, we probably never would have met her. And I personally am very glad that we did. Now, I wonder whether any of you have ever thought about this one, because it is worth a thought. Every box of raisins is a tragic tale, one of grapes that could have been wine. I've got that visual, this way. No, you didn't make it to the wine. Yeah, Jody, really, you were, this was your punishment. For all that you did in your life, you got us. Oh, Kimmy can't eat flour, so she hasn't had a donut in 15 years. Wow, isn't that amazing? I don't think I should be eating flour, but something, I'm beginning to cook such good-looking bread. I allow myself one slice a day with peanut butter. No butter, just one slice of bread with peanut butter on it. That's, okay. And I can choose when I have it during the day. It doesn't matter how old you are, buying snacks for a road trip should always look like an unsupervised 9-year-old who was given $100. That always reminds me of Yvonne's son, Cody. When I first took him camping with me, I knew that the campground had an arcade in it. And the first day I said to him, well, here's $20. And, just make sure you think about how you spend this. But this is my gift to you so you can enjoy the arcade. And I think about an hour later, he was back. And, I just smiled and said, how much of the $20 is left? But, I don't know about you guys, but I knew he was going to spend it all immediately. And then all I did is every day after that, I rationed him. I still gave him some money to go play the arcades because that's fun, right? Especially at his age. So, I just didn't give him $20 a day, but I did give him some so that he could go and play. And how about this one? I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to have enough money to be able to stare off into the distance while I fill up my car. I'm going, I always do that. Doesn't everybody? Never mind. Jody, this one as well cracked me up. I saw a sign that read, we treat you like family. Yep, not going there. Where she finds them, it's just amazing. And this is the story of my life coming up. My goal was to lose 10 pounds this year. I've only got 15 to go. Actually, I'm very proud of myself. I have lost 10 pounds this year. I sort of plateaued as soon as we hit the lockdown. I plateaued. I was doing so well with going out and exercising, and I have no reason to have stopped that, but I did. This one is worth a thought as well. Mr. Rogers did not adequately prepare me for the people in my neighborhood. by the way, for those of you who were at the lunchtime broadcast, I think that I'm not imagining it, but at lunchtime, we only had these two little, hang on, I wonder if I can hold this. I think we only had these two little leaves, and suddenly when I came out this evening, it's got another one. Can I show you that one? Can you see this little baby one here? That came out between the two broadcasts. It does grow rather quickly. Yeah. Now, some of you will remember these days. Accidentally, I went grocery shopping on an empty stomach, and now I am the proud owner of aisle 5. You know, one of the things I always did was, you know, in the days when I could go shopping, was get to the aisle and go, and I came in for what? You know, you've got a 10-hour shift tomorrow. Wow, Becca. You must have said yes to it. So that's only a couple of hours over what you would normally do, though, right? I'm pretty sure that you know, Beth's going, that's a short day for me. But I understand that, you know, that is not fun for you, Becca. Normally you have 8 or 9, yeah. Yeah, Jody's asking Kim, who can't eat gluten, whether she's tried any gluten-free bread. There's some really nice recipes out there if you want to look. Jody, yeah, I know you smiled at this one. I thought my dryer made my clothes shrink. Turns out it was my refrigerator. And you know, I'm going, I cannot believe how much money I'm spending on food at the moment, and I'm justifying it because I'm, you know, building up my storage cupboard. But you know, it's just like, seriously, I am bleeding money at the moment buying groceries, so I need to get it under control soon, very soon. Oh, interesting. Kimmy says that the gluten-free bread that she made tasted like sand. Yeah, you know something? I had a friend of mine that used to make it and made really good tasting bread. So did you try a number of recipes or just one? And, you know, again, did you try adding honey to it or, you know, the good stuff? Sandy, just our condolences to you. I did mention at the beginning of the broadcast about your daddy passing, and we all send you a big hug and our love. And I'm really sorry to hear that. Thank you for popping in. Um, and do let us know how we can support you other than being who we are. Um, you know, nothing prepares you for this, and there are no words, right? And it's so strange, even though you know that you were expecting it, it still, nothing prepares you. It is a really sad time. And so we all send you our hearts and prayers, and we're here when you need us, and you know how to get hold of us if you do. And take your time. And you know, feel free to join in. And unless you tell me otherwise, other than this moment where I'm acknowledging this, after today, I will not make mention of it in case the reason you come in is to get away from it. And so that is, I will try and do that anyway, Sandy. You know, you know me, I'm not perfect, but that will be my intent, is to give you the space to come here so you don't have to talk about it after today. Okay. So this one was fun. It said, my mind is like somebody emptied the kitchen junk drawer onto a trampoline. Did any of you see that when that meme that I put up this week on the Facebook page? Which is like, yeah, that's how my mind works. Yeah, got that. Yeah, Sandy, it's going to come in waves. Sometimes, some moments you're going to be fine, other moments you're going to be a wreck. That's what it's about, right? And it's grieving. Luckily, enough of us, not luckily, unfortunately, enough of us have been through it to understand it. And, some of us have been through it more recently than others. And we do understand. For those of you who remember Julia Roberts in Notting Hill, I'm just a girl standing in front of a salad asking for it to be 3 tacos, 2 margaritas, and an order of queso. Is it queso? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. And Jodie lost her father-in-law this month, so it's a very difficult time. And I lost a very dear friend this month as well. Okay, so thank you. All right, so grieving is not easy. The fact that there is a highway to hell and only a stairway to heaven says a lot about the anticipated traffic numbers. Why does that amuse me? I've got this mental vision of this one. All right, so Kimmy is just confirming, I'd rather go without gluten-free bread. All of it tastes like sand. Okay, interesting. I think gluten-free flour is expensive anywhere. I don't think it's just where you are. Gluten-free flour is expensive. And do you know why it's expensive? Because not many people use it. It's like almond flour. Why is almond flour so incredibly expensive? It's because there's not enough call for it to be mass produced. That's what I found out. If you answer your phone with the words, hello, you're on the air, most telemarketers will quickly hang up. I have never tried that. I definitely have this picture in my mind. It says, I spend a lot of time holding the refrigerator door open, looking for answers. What am I going to eat today? And I find that those are the days that I eat the junk. If I actually, I've learned now that I'm trying to get back under control, that if I get up and I normally start preparing food about 4 o'clock. And at 4 o'clock, if I, start preparing my meals for the day, I say meals for the day, but the little snacks I'm going to have for the rest of the day, I do much better. And in fact, yesterday, I thought I'd had way too many calories until I looked at my list and saw that I'd not eaten one of the things on the list, and it happened to be a high carb thing. And I went, oh, look at that. Wasn't that fun? I actually did much better than I thought. This will Yeah, I do intermittent fasting, Becca. I think 4 p.m. So I don't start eating until about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, that's how I do it. This is $1 million idea. A smoke detector that shuts off when you yell, I'm just cooking. It always amused me with Wade living downstairs. Wade would set off the fire alarm nearly every time he cooked. I think he had two speeds, on and off, and the on was high heat. And I remember when it started happening, I used to text Yvonne and go, should I be concerned that the house is burning down? And she go, no, Wade's just cooking. And I go, oh, okay, fine. Now, this next one, I want to warn you in advance, is very funny, especially if you can visualize it. I just saw some idiot in the gym put a water bottle into the Pringles holder on the treadmill. How many of you can see that? It's like my sort of people. Now, this next one is very funny, but it has a lot of truth in it, because it says, I think it would be really great if Walmart added an upper level observation deck with a full bar. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you, honey. You've missed a couple of doozies, Sharon, just so you know. How many of you are going? Oh, and Isabel said it took me a minute to get that one. Yeah, I thought it was great. How many of you love people watching in something like Walmart? And this one is so cute. I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes. So she took a step forward and hugged me. Like, nice one, Jody. My favorite exercise is a cross between a lunge and a crunch. It's called lunge. You can just see Jody getting these and going, oh, yeah, Sal, I like that one. Some of you may relate to this one. It said, I just checked my account balance at the ATM. It printed me a coupon for ramen noodles. By the way, I just bought a whole flat of ramen noodles because I thought if things get bad, at least it's something to eat, right? And boy, it's not expensive, is it? Procrastination is totally a good thing. You always have something to do tomorrow, plus you have nothing to do today. And some of you know, I actually wrote a full day seminar on the power of positive procrastination. And, it's funny because I was amazed how many people signed up for it. And I can remember running it actually, I shortened it to fit it into like 2 hours or something. And I was giving it one day at a particular very well-known Fortune 500 company. And the people were laughing so much because, I was talking about how I procrastinate. And people were laughing so hard that, people were trying to get in and they had to stop people getting in because it became a fire risk. The room, wasn't designed to hold that many people. And they literally had to have people on the doors to stop more people going in. And I always remember that when I was leaving the room, somebody was outside and said to the person in front of me, what the heck was that about? I've never heard that much laughing in any seminar that I've ever been to. And they said, oh, she is hysterical. But do me a favor, don't mess with her. And I was right behind him and I went, you are so right, sir. I thought the guy was going to drop down dead. Oh, Sharon, you wicked thing, you. Sharon saying, I answer my mum's phone by saying, Hooters. And Kimmy saying, when the telemarketers call, I just say, Pizza Hut, may I take your order? Interesting. You guys are cruel. And he who laughs last just didn't get it. The truth. This one had Jodie's name all over it and a couple of you as well. When I buy, why buy for $7 when you can make it yourself for $92 worth of craft supplies? Anybody relate to that other than Jodie and myself? Why buy it for $7 when you can make it for yourself for just a mere $92? Interesting. Sandy's saying, have you noticed that those prank calls, those robocall things have slowed down? Actually, now that you mention it, yeah, it is interesting. As I said at lunchtime, I just got scammed on something completely different. So, and that's what I try to do is, if any of you do come across a scam type thing, please make sure you let me know, because I'm trying to make sure that I add those things to the broadcast so people can be on the watch for them. And how many of you can relate to this one? I hate it when I go to the kitchen looking for food and all I can find are ingredients. In other words, I got to do some work to make food. Yeah, Jodie's saying that she's noticed that those strange. I got another one of those, computer type ones. I must be high on their list because they phone me a lot with that one. And it's so funny because I just say which computer, and they go your what do they say? Your Microsoft one, and I go, yeah, I got 3 PCs. Which one are you talking about? She's like, really? Well, the one that runs, they all do. Now, which one are you talking about? They can't all be wrong. Yeah, I sound really bored, stop wasting my time. Which computer is it? Yeah, I know exactly what's going on. And some of you may or may not relate to this one. I'm trying to make protein shakes, but they keep coming out as margaritas. That sounds so good right now. Here's a wonderful bit of advice from a man. And he said, if a woman says, do what you want, do not do what you want. Stand very still. Do not blink. Don't even breathe. Play dead. And this one is like, this is the cop, right? The cop saying, do you know how fast you were going? And the reply being, I kind of feel like that's your job. Do not do that today. It's nice in a dream, but don't do it in reality. I'd hate to have somebody shot. Now, I think we should all wear this particular sign on us. And it says, if you ever see me jogging, please kill whatever is chasing me. Katie, good to see you. And for those of you who don't know, Katie is one of our original viewers from way, way, way back when. And it's always a pleasure to see her. She's in, are you still in Galveston, Katie? Yeah, Becca would remember you, that's for sure. And then this quote says, yeah, the medic that was, yeah. I just finished 3 books today, and believe it or not, that is a lot of coloring. Now think about this one, people. Sometimes someone unexpected comes into your life and out of nowhere makes your heart race and changes you forever. We call these people the cops. Oh, I hear from, Becca's asked me, when did I last hear from Oz? I hear from him probably once or twice a month. Becca, we keep in touch pretty well, thank you. You know, I never ever got over the fact that Oz sent me a text when he thought he was dying. You know, to me, that was the most amazing thing, that he would text me from the ambulance. And, you know, of all people, right? And he went, yeah, you like this one, Sal? Which is like, yeah, he was being funny, of course. And then the next thing I knew, well, now I'm on a plane being medevaced, you know, and it was just like typical Oz. But, you know, it touched my soul that he would, when he was in that sort of a situation, that he would text me. I'm certain that a lot of you can understand why that touched my soul. And it was just like, wow, isn't that incredible? So, you know, sometimes you will never know when you are that person for somebody. And I was delighted. I don't know about you, but, you know, Jody, just before she came onto the broadcast, was under the warning of a tornado coming her way in New Hampshire. And, you know, I always think of Coco whenever I think about tornadoes, right? Because she moved into Tornado Alley, and it was that was really quite something. Yeah, Becca, it was really amazing to me, and still is. You know, incredible. And so you know, that other than the fact that Oz makes us all laugh, I am glad that we have done something to help him feel that he always has friends out there. Jody, I don't know where you found this one, but this was one of the ones that had me, having to very carefully control my bodily functions. It was, I'm on my second guardian angel. My first one quit and is now in therapy. I just think that's so good. So how about this one? The fridge is a perfect example of what matters is on the inside. And I don't know about the rest of you, but one of the difficulties that I have now that I am eating more healthily is, you know, sometimes I open up the fridge and go, isn't there anything in here that I actually want to eat? You know. Katie is saying, Becca, after 10 years, I got into child nutrition, and then it became a passion for health. Now I bike 15 miles a day and do natural medicine and a vegan diet. I think that's amazing, Katie, really. Well done. Really proud of you. And some of you will relate to this one. It says, we can't all look good at the same time. It's either me, the kids, or the house. And I must admit, that I found it really quite interesting that when I finished the broadcast at lunchtime, I sent a quick note to Jody and said, I'm just going to change now into my gardening clothes, because I find on Fridays what I do is I dress in the morning to do the broadcast, and then I change into my grungy clothes, and then I have to change back in again so I can do another broadcast. It really is. It's easier in the winter. I don't know why. Um, and for those of you who still read books, however you read them, life is just a series of obstacles preventing you from reading your book. And have you noticed, I'm adding this on from my own experience, have you noticed that the interruptions are directly proportional to how close you are to the end of the book? It's like, I don't know about you, but when I get into that last sort of, 50 pages or something, I have to go and lock myself away because, I do not want to be disturbed now. It's all going to fit together somehow. And the last one for today. Wow, I've gone through these in a hurry today. Wow, wow, wow. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't get very far until you change it. Isn't that the truth? We all want the world to change, but when the truth is, the one thing that needs to change is us. So, Jody, great job. I literally screamed through those. And you did a lot of work to come up with 70. But I am just delighted that you did. So, we now have time for anybody who would like to bring up any discussion they would like to have. If you have anything that you want to thank any of the viewers for, or give out bouquets or whatever, this would be a great time to do it. How about letting us know what you think your greatest achievement was this week? All right, and let's think about that. What did you do this week that you were proud of? Or I can hear my mum say, of which you were proud. She really does still talk to me. Funny enough, last night I was really amazed with myself. I was busy binge watching yet again. Binge watching, I am so grateful for the ability to do that now that I've got this Roku TV thing. But what I noticed was that I did not go to bed last night until I had completely, finished the wash, and I washed all my sheets and, everything, and changed my duvet covers and all my pillowcases and everything else. And I actually made my bed completely before I got into bed. And I went, wow. Well, normally, if I am that late, I just crawl onto the bed and pull the duvet up over me, and I go, I'll put the cover on it tomorrow. But I really did. I thought that was really good discipline. I said, stop, put everything back together before you get into bed, and I did. And I was very happy. All right, so Becca was saying, oh, Sal, I know mine. It was actually yesterday. I went to my first counseling session with my pastor and his wife. Good for you, Becca. And, I really admire you for doing that. And I really pray that it helps you. I know that Nyasha is busy about to do the same sort of thing, although she's going to do hers, I think, online. But, I think anybody that knows that they need counseling and gets it is a very smart cookie, especially with all that's going on in the world. Yeah, it's, it takes a lot of courage to go and do that. And, as I was trying to tell Nyasha, that my experience is you won't always like what comes out of those sessions, but it doesn't mean they're bad sessions. It means that's stuff you need to be talking about. But well done for doing it. It was funny. Something happened not so long ago, and I have this answer now, Becca, where people will say, how come, or, da 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 da, and it's really nasty stuff. And I go, I totally understand why you would think that way. I personally spent an awful lot of money going to therapy so that I don't, you know, um, it's like, I am really glad I went to therapy. And, I am a Me Too person, so I had a lot of baggage that I was carrying around with me, and it was very heavy. And so, hi, Bridget. Good to meet you. Um, yeah, Jody's saying, I'm thankful that I was able to continue sewing this week after finishing the paperwork project that was occupying all your time. Jody has to fill in like a ream of paper every year, Jody, just to qualify to be able to get her meds again. And, she has done such a good job of getting it all together and getting it done. And that allowed her to go back and make more masks. So, Bridget, tell us a bit about yourself, if you will. Where are you from, roughly? From the US or Outer Mongolia, wherever. Let us know so we've got an idea, and I'll get people to introduce where they are from. And how did you find us? I always like to know that. I actually had something weird. Some of you know that I occasionally suffer from what's called an ocular migraine. That's where my vision splits, and it's like somebody took a prism and cut through my vision with a prism. And it was really interesting because for the first time I managed to realize that the reason that I get them is actually, I think, because of barometric pressure. This big storm came in on Tuesday, and that was the day I got the ocular migraine. And I realized that the ocular migraine stayed with me, or the effects of it stayed with me until the storm lifted, which was 3 days. So that's wonderful to know that maybe that's what triggers it for me, is that drop in pressure when the bad weather is coming in. And it's not just rain. It's like it was nasty weather. You know what I mean? Something Becca's saying, yes, those ocular migraines are horrible. I've had those before. I think the first time you get one it's really scary because you think something terrible is happening to you. But after you've had one, you sort of know what it is and know what to do about it. Katie's saying we had a bad storm today. I have fibromyalgia, yes, I remember that. So does Jody, right? And it always flares up in bad weather. Today was a lot of self-care and resting. Yeah, and that is one of the things that we're all learning, right? Learning to look after ourselves when we have these days. For me to take 3 days to recover from that migraine seemed like an awful long time. And I had to even cancel reading bedtime stories to the children. But, it's what I needed to do for me. And I'm glad that I did it. Does anybody else other than Jody have fibro? Because I noticed that I have, what do I have? Hang on, I'll think of it. I have psoriatic arthritis. And I've noticed I've got this joint here, um, you know, really flared up when that came in as well. So, yeah, thank you. Jody knows what I got. But I'm really noticing it in a lot of things. I really notice it when I wake up in the morning, and I'm trying to do things to loosen up my joints before I get up. Okay, so Katie's saying the way she looked after herself was she slept, she ate a high vitamin foods, okay, took Epsom salt bath, used essential oils. Yeah, you know what I find helps me for some reason, I don't know why, lemongrass. The smell of lemongrass seems to help me. No idea why. It's just like, but there's something about that that I find very soothing. And so what I do is I put it on me or on my clothing when something like that hits me. Yeah, you did lavender. Lavender's always so relaxing, isn't it? It's beautiful. I actually, what I do is when I make my bed, I just throw, like incense. I sort of sprinkle some on my pillows. So, that's always a pleasant, I curl up in bed and I go, ooh, I can smell that lemongrass. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. All right. Jody likes to do peppermint oil. Yes, I think we all have, an individual thing that works for us. And by the way, my new experiment on the hydroponics and everything, at the moment, I'm trying to do hydroponic Italian parsley. And I just will let you know, it's starting to grow. I think, hang on a second. Yeah, I took it. You see, it's starting to get some leaves on it. So that'll be exciting if I can get that to work. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow because I've got two new lettuces coming in that I'm going to be working with. So all my lettuces are doing really, really well. I'm very happy with them. And so I've, kept one alive for over a month now. And that's what I wanted. I think I'm going to need about 5 or maybe even 7 to be self-sustaining. Which is something that I'm, looking to do. How many lettuces do I need in my life to be able to not have to buy any more? Because they are a pain to grow, people. All right, so um, Kimmy's asking whether Jody makes masks. And yeah, it's amazing. um, how many of you are making masks other than Jody? It's a great thing if you are somebody that loves to sew or is able to do that. It's a great thing to do. I've got somebody on my street who makes them, and she just handed me a couple this week, and I thought, isn't that kind of her? And I will use them to, they're actually a bit small. But that doesn't change the value of the gift, but they are a little bit small. But I thought, I probably will just use them over the top of the fancy mask that I have. When I go out, we'll see. And I will be going out. I think I probably will go out this week and actually get out of my car, which will be a first. I think since I've been locked down, which was March, just before St. Paddy's Day, I've been out of my car once. I've taken my car out to charge the battery, but I've only been out of the car once. Yeah, that's right. And both Sharon and Jody are saying they make them for family and friends. And Sharon makes hers and sends them to the children's hospital. What a great idea. And I think most families have one person in them that's good at sewing. So that's a good thing. And, you know, one of the things that we were talking about at lunchtime today is to please, be prepared, not scared, that as everybody starts to come out of this lockdown thing, there are going to be a lot of idiots out there that are not going to be careful. And, you know, the main thing is to understand we cannot change those people. They will continue to do that stuff. Our job is to be as careful as we can be. Um, yeah, Isabel, I think it's very true, isn't it? That you never quite know. Um, you never quite know how you're going to feel that any given day when you've got fibro, right? Or any immune system problem. All right, so Kimmy says I have two, and I don't know how long they're going to last because I wash them after every use. Well, my question is, how long do your clothes last, Kim? You know, I'm certain you've got clothes that you wash pretty regularly. And I would think that the masks, if they're fairly well made, will outlast your need for them. Anybody got the right way to wash them rather than, filling up the washing machine? What is the right way to wash a mask by hand? Does anybody know? And what I learned was there is a right way up and a wrong way. Did you all know that? I didn't know that. And if anybody doesn't know that, let me know and I'll go and get a mask and put it on and show you. But, you know, I went, wow, isn't that interesting? I didn't know that there is a right way and a wrong way. And it's pretty obvious if you've got, one with a little bit of metal on it, which is meant to grasp your nose, because that's obviously the up part of it. But I just thought I'd talk a bit about that. All right, so Kim is saying I need to get my sewing machine out and get it to work so I can sew some. I think that would be a wonderful use of your time. And you know, Kimmy, if you think about it, Jody suffers from so much pain, and yet she's been making a couple every day. Katie's saying at the holistic medicine shop here, they have a special spray to disinfect the masks. Yeah. All right, so Jody's saying, I have washed them by hand with gentle detergent and very warm water. I would probably recommend maybe spritzing them with some Lysol or something before you wash them. You know, in other words, just spritz the Lysol over them and then give them a good wash. I wonder how many of you spritz your packages and things. If you could see me when I come back from my mailbox, and I've normally got a couple of packages and stuff, and I actually put them on my counter here, and I bring out the big guns, right? And what I do is I spritz them, and I turn them over, spritz them with Lysol, and then I leave them for a little while. Then I open them, take everything out and take it out of the packaging, and I spritz everything again, turn it over, spritz it again, and then I take the packaging and put it straight into the garbage, and then I go and wash my hands one more time with antiseptic stuff. And I reckon that's about as careful as I can be. What do you guys do with your groceries? Now that's clever. Sharon saying, I wash them in the washing machine, but then hang them on the car mirror to dry. That's such a clever thing. Yeah, I want to tell you, Kim, I want to tell you the pain that Jodie's in is probably indescribable for most of us. And yet she still manages to do things like that. Isn't it wonderful that she can, just put that into, I think some ways that, am I right, Jody, that you're finding that doing that helps your pain a little bit because it takes your mind off it? I'm just going to put the lights on. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference to you, but it will do to me. It was getting a bit strange in here. So how do you all clean your groceries? I'd love some input on that. And what I've started to realize is that, a lot of things can keep the virus on it for a long time. For example, a pop can can keep the virus on it for a long time. So what I do is I line up all the pop cans and I spritz those and then leave them for 10 minutes or so. And then I wash them in soap and water and rinse them off. And then I go, okay, now you can dry. And now if I touch them by accident with my lips, I'd be okay. But, I definitely wash all my fruits and vegetables. As I get them in, I have groceries come in once a week. And what I do is I will put them all into a bowl with vinegar in it. I have a kitchen washing up basin, and I put them all in there with some vinegar and let them sit in that for a while. And then I come back, take them out of there, rinse them off, dry them off, and then put them in the fridge. Anything else that anybody does? We all need to help one another. I don't know that word at all, Kim. Maybe somebody else here does. Yeah, Jody is saying it does help being as active as possible. It is important mind over body. It's also important to know your limits and not to push too far. Balance. And Sarah has helped me learn the value of that. Yes. I found, for example, I knew I was getting slightly better yesterday when I suddenly realized I'd done 7,000 steps, without going for a walk. And I went, okay, so I'm beginning to get my energy back again. Because for Jody, I think for 3 days, I was sitting on 4,000 steps, somewhere in there. And it was just like I could feel it wasn't enough for me. But, it was as much as I could do. And I think I slept more in those 3 days than I normally do. All right, so Kim's asking, has anybody else been prescribed Cymbalta? I hope that's how it's pronounced, for fibro. Katie's saying, I went to a farm this past week, 5 acres of sunflower trails. It was so beautiful. And then I picked fresh strawberries and blackberries in the field. I bought some sweet potatoes and other fruits and vegetables. I washed them all when I got home. What do you wash them in, Katie? Just so, we hear different ways that people do things. Do you just wash them with soap and water, or do you put something in the water? Yeah, I think when we come out of this, I do believe we'll all be much more careful about washing our fruits and vegetables. I think it'll stay with us. Kimmy's saying, I want to make a mask, but my machine needs work on it. Yeah. You can make them by hand, if you really want to. All right, Katie uses an all-natural fruit wash and usually with a little vinegar. Yes. You see, and that's what I'm thinking, that, you don't have to buy something really expensive. A little bit of vinegar in the water will help. All right. The same way as we found out that if you cannot find yeast in your stores at the moment, that apparently a little bit of baking powder with lemon juice. Did I get that right, Jody? It will replace yeast. And if you haven't learned how to make your own. All right, Kimmy's saying she goes and turns her car on every day for a while. I actually take mine out for a run twice a week, as some of you know. So yeah, I agree that. Interesting. And Jody's saying, Kimmy, I haven't been prescribed Cymbalta, but that could be because I've had fibro for 25 years and I've become resistant to many medications. Wow, that must be scary as well. Um, Katie recognized. Katie's saying, yes, Kimmy, my doctor prescribed Cymbalta and Lyrica and all kinds of other stuff. None worked and horrible side effects. I don't take anything now for my fibro. Yeah, it's one of the things I remember about you from way back when, Katie, was the fact that you suffered from fibromyalgia. And so does Lolo. You know, for those of you who know Lolo, she suffers from it as well. I've got a feeling maybe I do too. I'm trying to work out whether some of the symptoms that I've got are neuropathy, I think that's what it's called, or fibro. I'm not quite sure which. So, you know. The exercise and diet help a lot. Yes, I think that's true of most things, isn't it, Katie? I was quite surprised that I managed to get off taking heart meds by watching my diet. That really, I was proud of myself for doing that. Took a while, but I did it. And one of the other things I found, you know, when I was feeling really off this week, I made sure I kept taking my temperature just in case the reason I was feeling off was, you know, not what I thought it was. And I really do recommend that you all do that, you know, that if you are feeling weird, achy or whatever, that, you know, keep taking your temperature, make sure that you know what you're dealing with. And Jody's saying, I diagnosed Sal months ago with fibro. No doubt in my mind there's something there. Yeah, I've got a pretty good sense that I probably got it as well. I think what's going on with my, but can it be localized? Because I seem to have it more in my, in the, how can I describe this? In the muscles of my lower extremities. You know, my thigh, not thigh, calf muscles and stuff like that. And I definitely find they're very slow to work in the mornings. Mine was more localized in the beginning. Thank you. Yeah, it's really strange where I'm going, wow, that feels so strange. And you know, I know enough from learning from you guys that sometimes I've just got to, you know, bite the bullet and work my way through it and, you know, loosen up those muscles and get them to work, even though it's painful to do so. And I definitely have been on that massage thing of mine. I try to do that at least 3 times a week where, you know, I've got my legs on a massage system. And it's helping a little bit, but I still have the swelling, the edema going on. So not 100% sure why. It's all related, probably, right? But I'm happy to have what I have, people, if you know what I mean. There are so many people who are so sick, and I'm just uncomfortable. That's how I look at it. Good. Anybody else got anything that they want to add to the story today? So if you're going, okay, if you've talked about what you proud of this week. What did you learn this week? Anything? Trying to think, what did I learn this week? Huh. I think what I learned was that that two people can both be right and still it can be wrong, if you know what I mean. I was talking at lunchtime today about something that happened between two of my neighbors, and you're going, they both are right. And it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening as a middle point for them. Jody's asking if anybody has a recommendation for a great stove. I want to tell you, if you've got the money, that stove I had, I will never regret. It's the LG double oven, and mine actually had the added add-on of an infrared grill in it. But there's something, if you can get a stove with a double oven in it, in other words, it's not just one oven, it has two different ovens. Doesn't have the pathetic warming drawer type thing at the bottom where you can store your stuff, but what it does is it has a smaller oven on top and then a big one underneath it. Boy, did I find that useful as a single person, because I hate to use my big oven. Anybody else? It's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah. and anyone with a blue interior, it was a bit like the fridge, right? You open that up and you expect the orchestra to play. Well, I want to tell you that I had to make sure that my realtors knew how to show my appliances. Right? I gave them instructions, because there's a difference between a stove and a good stove, right? And for example, on the stove that I had, Jody, you were not allowed to use a liner, because it was so good that if you put a liner in it, you'd actually melt the liner, because of some way that it conducted heat or whatever. And it was just like, wow, I've never had one where they said, don't ever use a liner in it. And yeah, interesting. And by the way, when I sold it, it was over 5 years old, and I don't think I ever cleaned it. It never needed cleaning. I didn't use it a whole lot, but I used the top a lot. Not the big oven, but the top I used all the time. And even that didn't need cleaning. It was so good. I am fine, thank you, Emma. Didi and Emma. Have I got Didi or Emma? Let me find out that. Right. And Katie's saying she hardly uses her oven. She uses the Instapot and an air fryer. Absolutely. What do I make in my kitchen? Trouble. We were just talking about that, actually. We were saying that what I'm going to start doing, because people have asked me, is start giving you some things that I make for myself. Things like, how do I make my dishwasher tabs? How do I make, various things? Because I'm always doing stuff like that, and I know that you guys enjoy it. So we'll just talk our way through it every now and then. We'll do one. And without a doubt, that bread maker thing that I bought, the cloche, where is it? For those of you who like to buy bread, bake bread, I want to tell you, I really recommend this. What it does is, when you put your dough inside it, it keeps the steam rotating around your bread, and it makes the greatest bread I've ever made in terms of crust and everything else. It just really is awesome. So, I think what I want to be able to do is show how I make my bread for some of you. Do I have cookies? No. No, I don't have cookies today. But I have lots of other things. Right, so let's have a look here. I've been, Nyash was saying, I've been trying to understand something you spoke about at lunchtime. When you spoke at listening or thinking about both sides of a statement, reason or whatever, why must one try to get both sides? The reason I recommend that you see both sides of any story is so often we overreact to only understanding one side of a thing. When you hear both sides, I always remember somebody saying to me that, they did a lot of work with people going through divorce. And he said, one of the things you find out, there's always his side, her side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. Yes, and it's quite normal. And Ash was saying the reason why I ask is because I overview one side, and that's the side I normally receive, and not the other. Am I wrong? Well, it's not about right or wrong. It's if you want to grow as a human being, if you want to find more balance in your life, then you will realize that when you take the time to find out why is this person reacting the way that they are, it helps you see that you don't need to necessarily overreact to them. Seek first to understand, Nyasha, is something that I say an awful lot. Everybody has a good reason for getting angry. Everybody has a good reason for being frustrated. Sometimes we just need to keep our control enough to find out what that reason is and not overreact to it. And I think that is really the key to it. If you take the time to find out both sides of a story, then you don't overreact as much. Anybody else got any input on that in terms of that? I was talking, for example, a lot of things are happening politically at the moment and that we might not totally understand, but it's a really good idea to try and say, let me try and understand why they're opening up the schools, right? All right, so Dee Dee and Emma saying, I'm joking with you, have fun. Okay, when I talk with another person, have fun. Why? I don't understand. But when I talk with you, you are smile. That's nice to know. Well, thank you for that. You're always welcome, as long as you treat my viewers with respect. So, you look at it and you go, finding out both sides of a story helps you not overreact. I think that's what I was trying to explain. So you remember what I said about there's a reason why they want the schools to open. If the schools open, then that means that people will be able to go to work because their children will be in school or in daycare. And that's, it's it's like they want people back at work to help the economy. So yes, they're going to have children go back to school. And the question is, will that be putting children at greater risk? We will never really know, will we? But think it through. There's always a good reason. And I wouldn't want to be sitting in power at the moment. There's a big catch-22 here. If you send people back to work, we're going to have the figures escalate. And I warn people to expect the figures not to be exactly as they are, because nobody's going to want to advertise the figures we're about to see. But the other thing is this, that I want you all to understand as well, that the choice they have to make is, do we send people back to work and restart the economy, or do we let people go bankrupt, where they will end up, maybe at bigger risk of suicide, depression, da 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 da. It's really a catch-22. So, it's like when we can look at both sides of that and help make more sense. It is difficult, but there are going to be a lot of difficult decisions that need to be made right now. I think we've got the situation where some states are saying, yes, we're going to open up, and some are saying, no, we're not. And, both of them will be in trouble for it. That is the sad thing. Those that open up early will have a big spike in problems, and those that don't open up early will get a lot of backlash from the various residents in their states. So you can't win on this one, but some people are going to be stronger on keeping everybody in lockdown that needs to be than others, because they can, would want to protect people. But how do you protect people when, by not going back to work, they're going to go bankrupt? That's the catch-22 of it. So expect it to happen, people. Be prepared, not scared, right? That's what I'm always saying to you. And it's going to get very difficult now. And that's why we will be doing a lot more talking about, making sure that we understand both sides wherever we can. Okay, so let's do a countdown for those of you who... Come on. Here we go. Valentine's Day. Come on. There we go. Valentine's Day is 9 months away. 9 months and 4 days, in fact. Let me see what people are saying here. Right, Katie's saying that down where she is, phase 2 for opening their places start on Monday. We have a lot already open, but with restrictions. We have a rise in cases, but it will happen anytime we start to open. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying, is be prepared, not scared of that, right? All right, so Christmas, for those of you who make your own presents and things, you've got 223 days left, and we have just 6 months to get, 6 months and 2 weeks actually, to get your Christmas cards in the mail. For those of you who are related in terms of your culture to the US, you have 6 months left until Thanksgiving, in fact, 6 months and 2 weeks. And then for those of us in Canada, we only have 4 months and 29 days, basically 5 months, because as you know, we have our Thanksgiving in October, not in November. For those of you in the States, you've got 2 months left to get your taxes in, and we Canadians only have 2 weeks left. Yikes. For those of you who live north of the equator, you have 35 days, that's just over a month until summer. And for those of you who live south of the equator, you have got 35 days until winter. So enjoy the time that you have. And I was saying, isn't it amazing that I moved in here 4 months ago? That's a third of a year away. And, I've now owned the house for a quarter of a year, but, it's amazing that it's been this long and I am still nowhere near unpacked. But, I'm doing a little bit every day, and I have got to the stage now where I'm starting to unpack things out of what will now be, I've decided I'm going to try and put the stuff from the studio into the craft room, and then actually have a spare bedroom. And that's what I've decided, because I thought at worst, probably the spare bedroom is a better place to do crafts. Didi and Emma, can you please stop asking people to subscribe to you? Those messages aren't going through because I've got them on a system that is holding them. So just stop doing that. Those messages are held for review. And also you need to know, if you keep doing that, then YouTube will mess with you as well. Just to give you a heads up on that one. All right, so for all of you, I just want to let you know that as we come out of lockdown and go into the real world a bit more, we will see more numbers, and they won't be pretty. And the flu isn't going to go anywhere. It is still out there. And just because, people are allowed to come out of the solid lockdown does not mean the flu is gone. The COVID-19 is still out there and it's still extremely dangerous. So what I ask you all to do is to be very, very careful, please, about making sure that you are safe as much as you can. And again, don't go out if you don't have to. And if you do have to, be really, really careful. That is basically what the best we can do. Be very careful about what comes into your house. And the other thing that I find, even after I've sort of washed everything and disinfected it as much as I can, I actually leave it in a cupboard for about 10 days before I use it. Does that make sense? Just in case I missed something. So this week's groceries, I will not touch for at least a week, 10 days. The fruits and vegetables I will, because I know I'm going to wash those in a big way. But, the actual cans of stuff and so forth, they sit on shelves for at least a week to 10 days before I even touch them, because I want to be doubly sure that they are safe as far as I can. So I would say, and Katie would hopefully back me up on this one, and if she doesn't, that's also okay. But what I would say is think very carefully about what you can do to eat better to support your immune system. And because although on paper I probably am at bigger risk than a lot of people because of my history of lung problems and I'm pre-diabetic and things like that, sometimes I wonder just how much at risk I might be. And so I think when we eat better, when we look after ourselves better, we maybe are at less risk. I don't know. I think the more we can do to make sure that we are as healthy as we can be. Nyasha, can I give you a word of advice? Don't feed the troll. All right. I've given Dee Dee a warning, and the next thing is that we will need to ban that person. All right. So Katie is saying, get your vitamin C and D. Make sure your iron is up. So not everybody understands what that's all about, Katie. So vitamin C, I was trying to explain to Nyasha, who thought that, the more vitamin C you take, the better. I explained to her there was such a thing as getting a toxic overdose of vitamin C. So, I was trying to explain that, eating a couple of oranges wasn't going to be toxic, but, just be careful. Vitamin D, how many of you take vitamin D supplements every day? I do. And I have done for the longest time, and it's really good. Make sure your iron is up. Good. So that would be what? Green vegetables, anything with green leaves, spinach. Katie, what about kale? Not kale, kale, obviously. I wanted to ask about chard. Because I've never really had chard. Nyasha, I ask you not to get angry. That's my job, not yours, honey. But thank you for trying to protect us. Yes, Katie confirms it, Nyasha, so be careful, right? You can get toxic problems when you overdo any vitamin. And so, thanks, Beth. Chard is great too, any dark leafy green. So what I wanted to find out, is chard okay to put into a smoothie? Thanks, Jody, for putting that time out. And next time, just delete, please, this person from our broadcast. Yeah, we just... can you just talk to me a little bit about chard? Because I know you can put spinach into a smoothie. I was wondering whether you can put chard in. What about kale? I found that I got some baby kale growing in my garden. It will give a bitter aftertaste in a smoothie. Okay, so what do you put with chard to make it taste better? I've got quite a lot of it. Or I'm about to grow quite a lot of it. So you're probably wondering why. You put kale and spinach, right? I do have some kale growing, so that's good. I want to know what to do with this chard that I'm growing. Ideas. I'm thinking maybe I'll end up drying it and using it as powder over other things. I'm finding that I'm adding, because I'm still dehydrating stuff, I am using, for example, if I dehydrate bok choy rather than let it go bad, I, sprinkle that over dips and things, just a little bit. That helps. So that's the other thing that I just want to remind everybody, try not to waste food. Food's going to be, as we talked about in last week's broadcast, right? The problem of starvation around the world after this pandemic is going to be huge. We already had a problem with the droughts going on and global warming and all this sort of thing. And now to have a pandemic on top of it, we're going to have an awful lot of people without food. Cook chard down, add an acidity to it when cooking, like lemon juice. Cooking it down with simple vinegar oil dressing with pine nuts and dried fruit is yummy. Okay, let me read that. And cooking it down with a simple vinegar oil dressing with pine nuts and dried fruit it sounds really good. Yeah, so I can do that. So just less is more by the sound of it, right? Don't overdo it. I'm finding that as the simple dressings, I make my own olive oil and balsamic vinegar dressing, and I find that works, so well with so many things. And by the way, throwing some cumin seed in that and some honey just makes it delectable. Yeah, I do that for a bit of a change. I just throw a little bit of cumin seed in it and a bit of honey, and it's just like yum. So be careful, everybody, that are you getting enough fruits and vegetables every day? Do you know? Right? And I don't know about you, but one of the things that I learned from watching Beth and her food prepping is I actually have one container. It's in the dishwasher, but I have one particular container, and every day I fill that up with fruits. Okay, whether that's slices of oranges or maybe some frozen strawberries or whatever, but I know that I need to fill that up with fruit and have that as part of my day. Yeah, Katie's saying I use very simple ingredients when cooking. Less is more. Yeah, that way I taste every flavor. I also learned a very good trick, Katie, from Benji, and that is the more color that you have on your plate, the healthier it is. All right, so I work hard at sort of mixing, the greens with the yellow peppers, and then the orange of carrots or the orange peppers, and and the red of tomatoes. Like the more of those different things I've got in, the better. And the other thing I found for me that works really well is I know I need to eat the green leafy stuff, and I don't like it very much, like the bok choys and so forth. But I found if I make a little layer of that at the bottom of a bread dish, hang on. What I found that I've started doing is, I talked about I have a container where I need to know how much fruit I have. I've started to make sure that every 2 days I layer vegetables. I put things like the dark leafy stuff at the bottom, bok choy or spinach or whatever. And then I will put carrots and then something else. And then I'll do a layer of cheese. And then I will put, other vegetables on top of that, maybe a couple of slices of sweet potato and then more carrots or whatever. So I actually fill this up with layers of vegetables. And then what I do is I just bake it in the oven. I put, what I found very useful is, maybe put a little bit of milk over it, or sometimes I will put a cheese sauce over it, just cook it. And then I just cut it in half and I go, okay, that is, I know that all my vegetables are in there. It's like a rainbow sandwich with all the colors. Yes, hang on, let me see what you said here. My favorite sandwich is roasted purple and orange sweet potatoes with apples and cabbage with vegan cheese and a condiment. I miss maple syrup and Dijon mustard. Yeah, I mean, so interesting. So that is cheese made from cashews. Wow. I've never heard about that. Yeah, so that's what I'm learning is the more color layers it has, the healthier it is. So good stuff. All right, everybody, I need to get out of here. So do what you can to keep your mood up, and congratulations for those of you who are going to get help. It takes courage to do that, and it takes time, but do it. And remember that we're here if you want to debrief. Very important part I found of getting therapy was to debrief what you have discussed. And please, Katie, I appreciate you being in here and helping us on the food side for people. Jody, thank you for all that you do to make us smile every Friday evening. You do a great job. And also for looking after so many of us in terms of our diabetes and so forth. You do a wonderful job with lots of reasons why you shouldn't do it. And I really, really appreciate it. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. I'll see some of you on Sunday, 3:30 my time, Pacific time, and we'll see you then. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for taking the time to be here. We'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye for now. Maybe if I get all the buttons pressed in the right order. Sometimes it takes a while. Oops. Yeah, like now. Bye for now.